Hello, for more so contents invest. We talk about investing, finance, and professional development for today's items only. The investment I'm going to talk today will be Ethereum to ETH. First, I want to say happy Sunday, everybody. Hope you a great weekend, by the way. Respect to recording time of 9:56 a.m. on the Eastern Time. Ethereum currently trading $4,342, down about 1.71% so far. As you can see clearly on the left corner, the entire crypto market is collectively red today, with the slight surge that we saw yesterday, which was very coincidental, right? I posted my second video, which I typically do, and then about 15 to 20 minutes afterwards, a slight surge start to happen, where Ethereum was surging close to about 3.68% yesterday, while Bitcoin is also dragging up about, I would say, 3% as well. And the real catalyst, as I was, depicting, that I did not do on the second video, that happened subsequently on the media front. The news catalyst was mainly coming from two specific ones. One is on Decrypt about, I would say, 15 hours ago. The other one is on Fox News about 8 hours ago. And this is with respect to El Salvador, which is again the first country in the world to be converting the financial systems into crypto assets stem from the value proposition of Bitcoin, right? And the president, Bukele, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, by the way, he has announced that he's planning on converting El Salvador to be the first Bitcoin city backed by using Bitcoin bonds going forward. So this is another, development in the globalization perspective, right? El Salvador is taking a first step onto initializing this effort going forward, right? So with that affectation, despite El Salvador, in the comparable perspective, it's definitely a smaller country in comparisons to the larger countries like China and U.S., right, and et cetera, et cetera. But we appreciate their effort, right, and we see there's some sort of a early stage of development that eventually is going to get further adopted globally to other countries, starting, obviously within the South American region and then subsequently North American region, and then spread out from there, right? So that's something we appreciate, and subsequently with that specific news, it drove the drag effect, obviously leading by Bitcoin because this news is focusing on Bitcoin, to have the entire market to be dragged up from there, right? But you can tell that the news was relatively short-lived. As you can see right now, we are basically hovering back down, right? So another news that I see on Ethereum related specifically, right? That's really worth mentioning are two collective news again. One's on Bazinga about 20 hours ago to talk about CryptoPunk 9031. Don't know what this specific number means. Sold for basically $700,000 in Ethereum. Seems like NFT and these type of commercialization is really booming. I could have sworn I heard like this TikTok video recently where Gary Vaynerchuk was advising one of the YouTuber. I think his name is Logan Paul or something. He invested, like Gary advised Logan to be investing into this like NFT thing. I think about a year ago when it was like a relatively lower price point, right? And Logan regrettably said that if he actually listened to Gary and invested at least $5 million of his assets into that Ethereum, not into that NFT, the valuation of that NFT right now would have tenfolds. He would be worth 50 million or something like that by now, right? So definitely life changing money. So more cultivation around these type of activities, which is stem from the value proposition of Ethereum, right? So for you and I that are investors in Ethereum is something we definitely appreciate, right? And then next news on Bazinga, which is something we talked about yesterday already, and the video before as well, is the DeFi threat and the fraud, that the total loss so far is about $10.5 billion in 2021, right? And it seems like it's still growing because we're still in November, so we still have like a month and a half left. So, and obviously the article talks about the diversification of, well, not even diversification, it's more of a concentration of the loss sources, and the majority is coming from Ethereum, based on what the statistics shows in there, right? So definitely something worrisome. I am a large investor in Ethereum, and that's something that I don't wish to see upon myself or on my friends here on YouTube, right? And then the last article that we already talked about, like the last four videos, is the Time Magazine, right? Their publishing company will be holding Ethereum on the balance sheet going forward, right? So let's move on to that technical analysis. Enough talking about the news. It's not always so active on the weekend anyway. So, and yesterday was a relatively interesting one. The Bitcoin City news. So with respect to Ethereum right now, it's down about 2%. We are still leading. We're basically leading back down, and I think we are still in the bearish state right now, knowing the fact that every lines are curving down right now. And something that's kind of alarming that I'm seeing right now clearly is this surge really confirms the shoulder for us, right? You see the head, you see the shoulders. I was hoping that we don't form a shoulder on the second one, obviously, right? But it seems like with the surge from the El Salvador news yesterday, it confirmed the surge. And despite that positive news on the future adoption on a more of a geopolitical perspective going forward, it's not incentivizing people to be, incurring more risk, or sustaining the rally above. And it seems like we're back to square one, coming back down to close to testing the 4,000 mark again, right? So I think right now this is seemingly like a head and shoulder pattern. And head and shoulder patterns are not always positive, right? I hope I'm completely wrong. I hope that I'm just crazy looking at this or try to um, make things up here. We are at the 50 out of 70. So we still have some room to fall down to. So I think coming back down to the 3,800 would be very logical from here. And possibly even 3,450, depending on how long or how elongated this line will be as we drag out from here, right? So Bitcoin right now, I would say is doing something comparable. You see the head, you see the shoulders, right? And I think with respect to the risk management level right now, despite itself as not as prominent compared to Ethereum, I think ideally buy at somewhere around like right, 52 to the 48. I think 44 would be a kind of a stretch because we're at the 44 right now on the RSI scale, not 44,000. But I think ideally incurring risk at 52 would be very logical. Like 52 to 48 would be very logical for me, personally. Dogecoin right now, it's a 39 out of 70, so it's not terrible. Again, right, like within the 23 to the 20 cents, like the 1950 cents would be the perfect frame of reference. So I think ideally dollar cost averaging around like the current level right now is not terrible. Cardano right now at the 186, right? So remember, we are at the 40 out of 70. So I think we try to sustain. Do we stay above this level, or do we go down to a lower level? I think we tried a couple of times, right? And every single time we got recuperated back up because of this resistance level that we've formed historically. So remember, we do have a large gap here. That's why the separation between 145 to 186 such a broad level because of the chart is showing us. So ideally, I would probably incur some risk at the current level right now, and then incur significantly more risk as we go down to 145. But Cardano's not a terrible setup right now because we're relatively oversold right now. Solana's coming back up, but it's relatively short-lived, as you can see. We're at the 50 out of 70. We're still bearish despite us up right now. So ideally, dollar cost average of 133 to 113 would be much more logical. XRP is contemplating, do we go up to 110 or do we go down to 101? I think again 105 to 101 is the dip. Polkadot right now we are at the 42 out of 70. So ideally dollar cost average somewhere around like the again right 33 to 25 would be logical from here. Algorand at the 47 out of 70. So ideally, dollar cost, again, right, I keep saying this, 160 to 152 would be much more logical as we come back down. This is relatively fishy activity going on right now. But, Algorand is one of those, like, altcoin, not even altcoin, but altcoin, that is just a lot of volatility. You can see that, there isn't really a specific pattern that we're seeing right now. So you could either make a lot of money or lose a lot of money here. So it's because this is still a growing technology, which makes sense, in a logical perspective. Shiba Inu is still selling off. Oh god, I'm losing my voice right now. Excuse me. So ideally buying back down at the 2750 to the 900 from here would be very logical per our technical analysis. And I think right now we should technically have some room to fall down to, knowing the fact that we're still at the 50 out of 70. So respect to risk management level, these are the levels that I would ideally dollar cost average at as we go back down to a more risk-averse levels for myself, right? Again, these are for my conservatism. And feel free to use this as your frame of reference. Like, I'm not totally right all the time. Because if I'm totally right all the time, I'll be loading up on everything every single time because I'll predict the future, but I don't predict the future. I can only maneuver through the cycle by understanding the risk management levels. And that's how we play the game ultimately, right? We read the news, you detect which are substantive news, which are not substantive news, you dollar cost average wisely, you practice patience, hold long term, be frugal, and always be thoughtful about when to take profit. And it's a cycle from here, right? And eventually you're going to keep making money by just like doing that money loop type of mentality, like the way I've been doing, right? And by doing that, you will be able to play the game. It's like a video game, on speaking the language, and then plug in. But obviously, it's not like a manual book that you see. That's why it takes some time for you to actually do this. So that's why I'm so happy that my job, in the last I would say 10 years of my life has been just to learn the craft. And I've done this thousands of times, and that's why I'm able to speak the language, and apply this to various different assets or equity or investment properties and etc. It's a specific way of speaking the language. So I really appreciate you. And by the way, before I hop off, I do have a quick question. So I pulled up this sweater this earlier today, and I found like I have a hole right here. I don't know if you can see it, but I don't know what's going on, but I have a hole on my turtleneck, and I'm not sure like how to fix a turtleneck when you have a hole in it. Should I patch it up or should I send this to a tailor? Should I sew it back up, on from the under to close the hole? Because I do like this sweater. I've been wearing this for like 3 years so far. But New York's getting cold now, and I do want to wear this again. But I don't know how to fix this hole, which is kind of bothersome right now. That I don't want to be wearing a sweater with a hole, and this seems like it's getting bigger. So let me know how what's the remedy for something like this. But yeah, really appreciate you for dropping by again, and stay tuned for this come up. Take care. Bye.